Right then. So, as always at this time of year, when it starts to get a bit chillier, we take a little bit more care because it always feels to me as though my body takes a little bit longer to kind of catch up with the the the, the colder weather, and the change of the seasons is obviously going to affect how we do things, how we feel about ourselves. So a bit more awareness, but perhaps always a good thing to practice in terms of Tai Chi. Just think about your posture, just if you can, sit a little bit forwards in your chair. About a third of your weight, 30% of your weight in your feet, if that's comfortable for you. So from the side, this is how the posture would look with a slight tilt forwards, bringing your weight from a point where it's right back in your hips, which inevitably means that there's a sense of sort of falling backwards almost to somewhere closer to the middle of the area defined by your feet and your hips, which is roughly square. Open your hands together, and then starting as always on your face, cheeks, lips, forehead. Letting your jaw drop a little bit. Coming up over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder and your arm, feeling the vibration of the muscles beneath your hand as you strike them. The other side. Your arm. Coming onto the upper part of the chest. Down to your belly. Finally your legs. Your hands rest on your legs. So we're very aware of our posture. We try to be very aware of our posture all the way through in Tai Chi, with a sort of intention to maintain that quality as much as possible, or when we lose it, to come back to it. This enables us to develop a quality of listening to our bodies. And when we start to do that, one of the things that I've realized is that, from day to day, even from hour to hour, things can change subtly. And when we start to move, when we start to become active, these changes are going to influence how we're active. They don't necessarily restrict us, but by being aware of them, we can start to sort of navigate them just a little bit more. So, as you said, just notice, feelings, sensations in your body. You'll probably feel that your attention is drawn to those areas that feel a bit stiff or a bit tight in one way or another. And this is quite good because these are the areas we want to be careful about. And on the other hand, we don't want that to be the whole story. It's worth sort of like noting those areas that do feel okay, do feel more spacious. Looking for a feeling of just sinking down into your chair. This quality that variously described as releasing, letting go, softening, yielding. Relaxing is a term that's often used, not necessarily the most helpful one. They're all understandings that derive from the Chinese character of Sung. And by focusing on the center of the body in particular, after a while you'll notice, hopefully, that really all the soft tissue of your body, everywhere through your body, from your feet to your shoulders, responds in the same way. So we might describe the feeling as the one that we will get if we were holding a fist tightly clenched and then just eased off a little bit, keeping the shape of the fist, but opening the fingers up so there was a space in between. That transition from the tight to the more open grip is so. And so whatever label you choose to put on it, it's really something that points you at the sensation. And this too becomes an intention. So the intention is particularly in the center of your body to release, to get that feeling of dropping down. It's allowing your center of gravity to drop, allowing the weight, excess weight to drain away from the upper part of your body, feeling your shoulders drop. And becoming aware of how you continue to be supported from within your body as that tension drains away. Just noticing the effect, if any, that it might have on breathing, maybe a sense of circulation. So that space provides a kind of environment that allows movement. So just gently beginning to turn. And again, another idea, another intention is that when we move, we want to allow the feel of that movement, the energy of that movement to fill whatever space is available, but not to try and strain against the boundaries of that space. The movement itself will help to increase your range of movement over a period of time. No problem with that. Smooth movement, feeling almost as though your neck were being gently massaged. Hands in front of your shoulders and circling your elbows around. And that feeling of being massaged is one of the ways that the movement is described. And so we can try and reproduce that in all of the movements, particularly paying attention to whichever parts of the body are actively moving. In this case, your shoulders, your chest, your back. Going forwards. So this changes our approach to the movement rather than feeling that we have to strain, rather than feeling that we have to sort of move a certain amount or whatever. The intention to move is to produce this massaging feeling, or one of the intentions. Hands down to your sides, rotating your arms. So without that stiffening up, without that straining, we start to become aware of a sort of connected quality in the movement. Continual movement, in this case, very simply from your shoulders down into your fingers. It's as though the tightness, the stiffness can block that. And this takes us to a very subtle aspect of movement. This is what we might want to think of as the energy. Smooth, flowing, sense of harmony developing. Lifting your hands up, winding them all the way around. So sung, however we care to interpret the term, becomes an integral part of all of our movements. Whether we're here dropping the hands down or whether we're bringing our fingers up a little bit, whatever part of the body we're working with, it's, if you like, the flavor Going back the other way. And rest your hands. Now, coming back to the lower part of your body, we're already slightly tilted forwards. Tilt the pelvis a little bit more forward, so more of your weight goes into your feet. Feel your legs being gently compressed, and as they start to expand, pushing your shoulders back, coming more to the upright position, and then going forwards again. So we want to take that feeling of our weight going into our feet to the fullest degree possible. And that doesn't mean that we should strain, but we get a feeling of our legs filling up. And they reach a point of fullness, and we start to recognize what that means, and then we just allow ourselves to be pulled back. This is supplemented the opposite way around in a sense that as we go forwards, it's like our hips are sinking back, our back extends and then contracts. It's like our hips are pulling us back. But again, we take a moment to sink in, to release downwards, and we feel the push forwards again. This time, if you turn in your hips a little bit, you can redirect your weight more into one leg. So the movement of the weight is another form of energy coming out of that sinking down and pushing up. That, remember I talked about the loading of the legs, the hips. With a simple turn in the center of the body, we can redirect that. We can send it into one leg predominantly. And then we can turn the other way, we can redirect it into the other leg. And then this time, go forwards. In the forward position, turn. So you turn across to your other leg, then roll back into your hip. Turn to bring your weight to the opposite hip. So that fluid, water-like quality of the weight moving actually begins to move your upper body. Giving this feeling of moving from the ground, almost, you can almost think of the energy arising from the ground. Go back the other way. Bring your weight predominantly back into your hips and raise up one foot. Push out, put your heel down over the ball of your foot, gently pressing, planting the foot, and then back. Heel, toes, and plant. Feeling that nice contact with the ground, and this time letting your weight go forwards, flowing into the ground through your foot, and then back. And the same thing on the other side. First of all, just the empty step, not moving your weight, but heel, ball of the foot, planting. And then letting your weight follow. Take your time sinking back into your hips. And then changing direction. So you bring your foot back, plant it down, underneath the knee, turn slightly the other side. So very simple idea, but really trying to observe the changes in the body, a slight change in your weight distribution from side to side, slight turn in the center of your body. These are all very subtle qualities. And one of the things that we're doing is we're learning to recognize these. They're key parts of our mobility. So as we become more observant of them, they can become more intentional, more deliberate. And then so these are all components that we start to bring together into the main body of movements. Just leaving your hands on your legs for a moment. Go back to this movement, rocking forwards and backwards. Transfer of your weight from your hips to your feet. Imagine doing this in water. And so as you go forward, you'll feel the pressure of the water against your belly, your chest, front of your shoulders, and so on. And then as you go back, it will be those corresponding areas in your back, a slightly sort of fuller, slightly denser feel, might be one way of describing it. This then begins to move into a sense of an awareness of the movement within your body. That denser feeling, as I described it, seems to flow forwards and backwards. And as with so many of the movements internally that we begin to recognize, we bring a degree of intention to that, so that rather than simply thinking about this muscle or that external movement, that external movement, we are actually beginning to have an intention to generate the movement partially from within the body. So now, as you come back, let your hands drop down, turn them palm forwards. As you go forwards, rotating. Actually, it's described as an internal art. This is not to suggest that we're not concerned with what we might think of as the external. That could include things like muscles and tendons and ligaments. It depends exactly how you're interpreting the term. But it does mean that there is always, to one degree or another, an intention to feel the movement, to work with the movement from within the body, bringing back that idea of maybe a flow of energy. Now this time, leaving your hands facing back, your arms swing through after your shoulders, inside. Fisherman castanets. And now not only do we feel the pressure of the water against the front of the body as we go forward, but against the back of the arm. Notice how my wrist just flex slightly. And then going back, it's against the inside, the back, the front of the arm, wherever you think about it. So this sense of that movement, that massaging flow, extends really through the whole of our body, right down into our fingertips. So imagining the ball underneath your arms as you come back. pulling on your arms, rolling the ball in towards you. So by changing our awareness of the movement, the image or just the structure of the movement, purpose behind the movement, we begin to shape those movements according to the exercise. Rolling a ball in towards your chest. Changing again, this time turning your hands palm in and drawing your elbows apart. This pigeon spreads its wings. For this movement, you don't want your arms to come above shoulder height, maybe not even that far. And as you come back and you draw out, you don't want your elbows or your hands to go behind your shoulders. Feeling that push up, rising up through your belly, solar plexus into your chest, expanding, and then going forwards and that movement draining away, contracting. So we're beginning to engage the muscles, pectoral muscles of the chest, the trapezius in our upper back, more than just our arms, more than just our weight moving. More than just the energy flow. And then coming back, pushing wave. Your elbows go out a little bit, not as much as before, and then coming in as you press forwards. There's an intention here to push against something. It's quite a precise movement. You imagine something in front of you, you lean into it, just let your weight move. The arms extend a little bit, but it really comes from your hips through your back. Giving you an idea of the kind of stronger quality that can be built up in these arms. A pushing wave. We're going to combine this with that alternating step that we did earlier. So bringing the weight back, slipping into one side, turning, extending and planting your foot with flips. Coming back. Put back in, turn the other way, and feel your weight shift across a little bit and then forwards. Time. One more on each side. Now, Facing forwards again, rolling your fingers into a hollow fist. Palm up as you sit back, and then as you go forward, your arms rotating. Punch with both fists. Now you can see this one movement, transfer of your weight, can bring about a whole range of movements through changes in the center and the upper part of our body, changes in our intention, awareness. This time from the forwards position, opening up your fingers, turning your hands out, winding out and back, and then pressing forwards again. This time when you come back, turning your hands palm down so they're resting on the table. Turn, ease forwards, let that extension in your back extend into your arms and fingers, swing around and back. So it's called polishing the table. Turn very gently, don't overextend. I'm doing this quite big, so hopefully you can see the mechanics of the movement. But it can be interesting, just a very small movement, feeling more subtle aspects of the movement. It isn't always the case in Tai Chi that the bigger the better. It's not always the bigger movements that are the most interesting or even the most challenging. Not that we don't want to do bigger movements, we do that as well. So we don't just get stuck in one way of doing things. One more to each side. Then your hands palm up. So you're cradling the ball in your arms. A gentle push downwards through feet and hips, a rising movement coming up through your body, and then back down. There's an intention here. I've seen it said that we should feel as though our root goes down to 6 feet through the ground. Now turn your fingers out. Same idea, but intention. Just push your arms away from your body, notice them swinging up. In the exercise, the wild goose, expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. Remembering that massaging field that we focused on earlier. One more time. Easing forwards Hands crossed, a little bit in front of your knees, sit back and push up, part in the clouds. Looking to keep a nice steady rhythm so that expansion and contraction are both unhurried, both the same length. Not unusual to find that we speed up a little bit in the contracting stages. One more time after this one. Not going forwards this time, staying in that more upright position, letting your arms drop all the way down, bringing your intention to one side, push down through your foot and your hip, expanding and contracting. Dragon plucks the stars. And on the other side, try not to rush the change over. And we can add a third stage to this. Let your hand come down, you bring your attention to the middle of your body, and then to the opposite side. In that moment of time, when your attention is more in your center again, can we bring a quality of release in, particularly around the center of the body, into the movement? And bring both hands into the movement. First of all, to your sides, lightly touching the side of your hips, the side of your center, and then lengthening through your back and spine, your arm being pushed upwards and then brought down, lightly touching your sides, and then pushing out, broadening across your back, drawing back into your center, and pushing out. This time, from that position of just touching your center, as you push out, you turn, feeling once again that when we move in the center of the body, it has this effect of moving other parts of the body. Finishing with the sideways push. So pushing in 4 directions now. So the key difference here comes from the center of your body, and as always, this becomes an increasing important area of the body to focus on. When we're resting our attention, as it were, in the center of the body, we have the potential to look out over, to listen to the entire movement. So, as you push your hands out, this time, extend one foot, just let your heel plant into the ground, knees slightly bent, knees in forwards, just scooping the sea and looking at the sky. So as you go forwards, there's a lengthening through your back and your spine. Hips are sinking back, so you get pulled back, that lengthening, contracting, moving into the front of your body. And then back. This time, from the rear position, again, a loose fist in both hands going forwards, a slight upward trajectory, grasping the tiger's ears. Here, I exaggerate, see how my chest opens, my arms behind, chest contracts, that helps to bring my arms around. Again, no movement is totally isolated. And in fact, one way or another, the whole of your body is engaged in this movement, either directly moving or else maintaining the structure. So now change to the other side, starting with scooping the sea, looking at the sky. And that's not just connecting from feet to hips to shoulders, but also going deeper into the body. We're trying to actively release, to use less big muscles like the triceps and the pectoral muscles and so on and so forth. And notice what else is being used. So for instance, here, we could think about the pectoral muscles, but if we let them relax a little bit, we become a little bit more aware of other things, spaces between the vertebrae, and the ribs, expanding and contracting as we move, for instance. That's just one example of many that we begin to notice. Change into grasping the tiger's ears. And the very act of noticing them brings them more into the foreground, become more intentional. One more time. Coming back. Let your hands rest for a moment. And bring your weight more into your right hip. Going forwards and turning towards your left foot. Come back into your right hip again. A little bit of a turn. Turn back the other way. Bring your weight across into your left hip, forwards into your right foot. I am exaggerating this, but I want you to see what's going on, to feel the pattern of the weight back into your left. Turn, and then bring your arms back into the movement. Hold the ball with your right hand on top, going forwards, feeling that movement again, flowing up through your upper body, pushing your arm out, press down with the right hand. This is part of the wild horse's made. Coming back and again holding the ball, this time with your left hand on top, moving across, settling down into your left hip and feeling yourself being pushed towards your right leg, opening across your chest, down into your hip, and then feeling the contraction there, the opening across your back. Moving across. Here, we feel an expansion more in that left side of the body, and so on. We notice the patterns, the currents of movement, the flow of the energy in the upper part of the body through that sort of trained, anchored awareness. And then we bring more of a sense of intention. Heart in the wild horse's mane. One more time. These arts are described as internal arts, and there's several understandings of that, but one of them is this process of bringing more attention into your body to make those internal changes more intentional and to allow them to build up the movement from inside outwards. So when we do something like part the wild horse's mane, in the first instance, if it's the first time you've seen it, you're moving your arms and maybe your weight as well, but that's what you copy. Do it enough and you start to feel, well, when this happens, like for instance, you think, well, my chest expands. So then maybe the next time you go to do it is rather than thinking I've got to move my arm, you focus on the expansion of the chest, pushing the arm out. Not because we're not concerned with the external movements, but there's this switch, building the movements from within to the outer movement. Allows us to make up for a stronger movement, a more fluid movement, a more sustainable movement in many ways. There's other ways of understanding that term with this term. But for now, rubbing your hands together again, tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Thumbs on shoulder and your arm. And on the other side. And the upper part of the chest. Down to your belly. And relax. And then pushing your heels up. And circling back the other way. Standing. Looking for a posture that once again in standing brings us more into line with the pull of gravity. It's a posture that is less strained, a posture that is less stable, posture that encourages these internal movements. So standing with your feet directly below your hips, weight a little bit forwards, hips dropping back just a little bit. Let your shoulders drop. Remember that releasing feeling through your hips, lower back, and just letting your hips drop back a little bit more. Don't overbend your knees. And then feeling the push up, your body expanding, filling upwards and contracting. Bring your hands around so you're cradling the ball, pushing up. Rising from the ground, then draining away back in. At the bottom of the movement, turn your hands out. Again, feel that expansion of the energy, pushing up, pushing your arms out for the wild goose, and then back down. Your hands drop all the way down and parting the clouds. Doing them in a little sequence like this can help us to be more aware of those patterns within the body, because although the overall pattern of expansion and contraction, for instance, is the same for each exercise, as we move from one exercise to another, from one shape, from one image to another, we realize that each movement has its own individual patterns as well. So our attention goes more deeply into our body. Our sense of intention grows and becomes more useful because our intention will work more best on those small changes, on building those small changes into the bigger movements. It helps us to maintain the stability of the posture, maintain the flow of the movement, rather than feeling we have to stretch our arms out or extend them some way or another. We feel them being moved, almost like you're in the sea with the waves moving your arms, but the waves come from within, from the ground. And we can influence them by changing our intention. We change the nature of the pattern. So the intention here is to do the exercise rooting down. The more familiar you are with the exercise, the more effective that becomes. Sink down, we change to the wild goose. It's a change in the image, change in the memory of the movement. And then we change from that once again, part in the clouds, again, a change of image, change of how this might have felt in the past. One more round. And the hand just drop down. Your legs shake. So I'm just going to sip of water. A change in the stance. Going back to the weight transfer as one of the driving forces of these exercises. So from the parallel stance, turn one foot out. Note that you can see the background between my legs. And when I step forwards, you can still see that. So it's a square stance again. And we're moving from one foot to another. Allowing yourself to settle into each foot and feeling the push, that rising wave, and guiding it into your empty leg. Again, imagine doing this in water. So feel the pressure against the front of your body as you go forwards. The push comes from the ground, and then, but you also feel this sort of flow into your back, like there's water within the body, moving like a wave forwards and backwards. Coming into your back foot, raising your toes, setting a little bit more into the back. Going forwards, front foot is turned out a little bit. Push your back knee in so the heel comes up. Gradually bringing that awareness of alignment and the rooting down. So the much trickier prospect of feeling it not through a chair, as we did to start off with, not through two legs, but through one leg. And then we can step in. You bring foot in when it's the back foot. When you step back, the ball of the foot goes down, then the heel, then the plant, then you move your weight. The other side. So try that with your other foot forwards from the parallel stance. Step forwards, Just transferring your weight without raising toes or heel. Take your time, do this in stages, so that at each stage we can recognize what the key qualities are that we want to bring our intention to. Then we can begin to raise toes and heel. And the heel goes down. When the toes go down again, you can bring in that quality of planting the foot. And we step in. A few steps through, either forwards or backwards. Take your time. Imagine walking on thin ice. So you extend the leg, place it down, you plant it, you press, you test the ice. Now going back. Bring your feet down. Now, have your right foot forwards, mirror my movements. Start with your weight in your back foot. As you go forwards, settle into the front, let your arms swing through for the standing version of fisherman castanet. One thing to note as we do this, you're facing forwards, your weight is moving forwards and backwards, your arms are swinging forwards and backwards. This is a very simple formula. This time though, as you go back, turn to your left. So now that draws your arm across the front of your body, turning forwards as you go through. Note the little curve in the shape traced by your fingertips. And back, let the curve swing up, both hands together, no higher than your shoulders. Go forwards, turn, bringing your hands down so they almost brush across the front hip. Turn a little bit to swing the arms up and back. Imagine sideways figure of 8 or something like the infinity sign in front of you. And just imagine that the arms and maybe even your whole body will flow through that shape, guided by the transfer of your weight, by the turning in the center of your body. So your arms follow the intention, the image, and what's happening in your legs, feet, and hips. And then shake hands. Before we do that on the other side, a really important point to notice, we're going to take that into the stepping movements, and it may even involve, if you're comfortable with this, your leg coming up. But just watch this. If I stand here and I raise my leg and I have my arms here, I'm fairly stable. Watch what happens when I move my arms further out. I instantly start to fall over. So again, rather than thinking, "Oh, I've got to slip my arms out here and out there," we come back and we let the movement within the body, those movements that we're learning to bring our intention to, push our arms out rather than feeling I've got to stretch out. And that way we actually maintain our stability much more. So have your left foot forwards and then starting with fisherman castanet, trying to feel the movements building from the ground through those subtle changes of expansion and contraction in the upper part of the body. So feeling when one part of your body is in motion, your whole body is really engaged in the movement, not just your arms. And this is where our awareness becomes so significant. It's not just about the mind, it's not mind over matter, but when we can bring that intentional awareness and into the movements and maintain that, the outcome is, one of the outcomes is that we're just that much more stable. Turning. Building that into the figure of 8. So now turn the front foot out a little bit, or do this going backwards as well. As you turn and your arms swing up, bring the foot in, step through. And if it's comfortable, maybe just raising the leg. If you find that you wobble around too much on that, just keep your toes down. And then stepping back. And bringing your feet out. And shake out. Go back to your chairs. And once again, you're nicely aligned and rooted, sitting posture. Your hands drop down to your sides. Beginning with a movement very much like the wild goose, you push your arms back. This time bring them around as though you're going to hold a ball against your chest. Feel your hips sinking into the chair, your shoulders dropping down, drawing your hands in and then down. Once again, settling. And then feeling the push back up again. This is embrace tiger, return to mountain. Again, feeling that your arms are being moved by those various changes, those patterns of expansion and contractions, the flow of energy within the body, rather than feeling that you have to strain your back, the shoulders, your arms to achieve the exercise. And rest. And open your eyes. Lovely. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope that was useful. As always, please feel free to get in touch with any questions or comments. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.